So, when it comes to video editing and photo editing, it doesn't have to be complex. There are a lot of applications out there that allow you to do editing very easy. I happen to like to use Photoshop. I use other tools, but Photoshop is great. So sometimes there are these simple photos like this wedding photo right here, and just with the basic tools, we can make some improvements to this. Like this here, we have a flagpole sticking up out of the bride's head. It's actually pretty easy to fix. So what we'll do is we'll zoom in. We'll zoom in here, and we'll take the lasso tool. And sometimes you can put a feather on it, but I don't like to use feathers. I just more or less constrain my lines here with my option key, and I'll click here and then unclick and kind of wrap around here. And I like to just mask out the areas that I don't want to affect, just to kind of protect this part of the image here. And you can see it outlines that. So now what I do is I go to my select and I select my inverse, which is up here at the top. Okay, so now everything outside is selected. So now what I do, so by the way, when I press my when I press the space bar, it turns into a hand here, see? And you can move the image. And then what I want to do, it's really simple actually, is I want to use the clone tool in Photoshop here. And I select that, and you can change the size of the brush up here. And what I want to do is clone the tree here on the pole. So watch this. So if I hit my shift key, it picks up the pattern. So I don't want an empty space like right in here. I want to pick up part of the tree. But what we want to be careful of is not to make the pattern jump skip. So it's like this pattern, this pattern, this pattern. So watch this. I'm going to grab this here, and I'm going to clone it, and it shows you where you're going to be cloning. And so see what I mean? It picks up this white space right here. And I don't want it to be like space, 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 space. I kind of want to stagger it. So watch this. I'm going to go over the pole like this. But then I'm going to stop, and I'm going to pick up a different part of the tree. I'm going to go over here. So it kind of staggers it. Then I'm going to grab the tree over here. You can see the color tones are a little different. So I'm going to grab it over here. And then up top here, I'm going to grab it up here. And I want to watch out for any weirdness, like this line right here. So I'll probably clean that up with a clone shot right there. We're lucky because this is very abstract. The trees in the backdrop. Oops. Don't be afraid to use your undo tool. And what we do is we just clone it like this. And I'm going to work my way down closer to the bride here. And, you want to make sure you do it right. So you don't want these little lines showing and things like that. So, although I'm doing this pretty quickly, you don't be afraid to take your time. Have some fun with it. You don't have to go nuts. Like this is all very dark right here. So what I might do is add some light shining through the tree right about there. See? Just to give it a little bit of perspective so it looks more realistic. And down here, so we have a stem going here, a trunk over here. So I'm going to grab this here. I'm going to be careful now, and I press Command H to hide the invisible lines, or the marching ants, sometimes they're called. And I'll just kind of go in here. But see how I made that mask, and it doesn't really affect the bride all that much. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to take one last look at this, and this is a little thick right here, so I'm going to add little light spots right here. Yeah, that's good. And don't get too crazy. Sometimes you get too perfectionistic and it just, it ends up taking more time than it needs to. You really don't need to do that. So now let me move in here and you can see where the outline is. So I'm going to deselect that. And then I'm going to use the clone tool here and not go over the hair completely. I want to actually reduce the opacity down just so it shows through a little bit. You see, because hair is, the wispy ends of the hair are kind of transparent. So it kind of shows through a little bit, especially back there. When you're zoomed way in, it's hard to tell. And you can start to see the pixels and stuff, right? So you don't have to worry too much about that. So that's a little too heavy there. So I'm going to go back a little bit and just hit a little teeny bit like that. And that's pretty much it. So let me zoom out and you see that without the pole there. So we got rid of the flagpole and that looks pretty sharp. And that's how easy it is to use the clone tool in Photoshop. You can see what I mean. So we'll start there. I'm actually going to probably go back in now and like fine tune some things, like get rid of that van and the cars in the backdrop. I'll do that too. But that's going to take time for another video. But I just wanted to show everyone how easy it is to use the clone tool in Photoshop to improve a photograph.